I still remember standing there in my graduation gown, surrounded by thousands of happy faces, camera flashes, and the sound of families cheering. Everyone was hugging someone they loved. Everyone had somebody holding flowers for them. I kept scanning the crowd, searching for two faces I had been waiting to see for 4 long years. My phone buzzed with messages from friends, but nothing from the people who were supposed to be there. Something felt wrong. Before we dive into what happened next, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. Now let me tell you about the moment my world changed forever. Growing up in a suburb outside of Chicago, Illinois, I always thought we were a normal family. My father, Richard, was a 58-year-old engineer who took early retirement. My mother, Patricia, was 55 and stayed home to take care of us. Then there was my older brother, Derek, who was 29, and me, Evelyn, 25 years old, and about to graduate from Northwestern University. From the outside, we looked like the picture of middle-class happiness. A nice house with a big backyard, 2 cars in the driveway, family photos on the mantel. But if you looked closer at those photos, you would notice something. Almost every single one of them centered around Derek. My brother was always the star of our family. He was good at sports, especially baseball. Every Saturday morning, my father would wake up early to drive him to practice. Every Sunday afternoon, the whole family would sit in the bleachers watching Derek pitch. I remember sitting there too, but nobody ever asked if I wanted to be somewhere else. I was different from Derek. While he was throwing baseballs and making touchdowns, I was curled up in the corner of my room reading books and writing stories in my journal. I loved words. I loved how they could make people feel things, how they could paint pictures in someone's mind without a single brushstroke. When I was 12 years old, I won a statewide writing competition. It was the biggest achievement of my young life. My essay about what home means to me beat out over 3,000 other entries. I was so excited to tell my parents. I imagined them hugging me, telling me how proud they were, maybe even framing my certificate. The award ceremony was on a Saturday afternoon in Springfield. I had been counting down the days for weeks. But that same Saturday, Derek had a baseball game. It was not even a championship game, just a regular season match. The night before, I reminded my mother about my ceremony. She looked at me with that familiar expression, the one that said she was already making calculations in her head. "Derek needs us there to cheer him on," she said. "You understand, right, Evelyn? You can take the bus to Springfield. You are a big girl." I was 12 years old. I took a 3-hour bus ride alone to accept an award that should have been celebrated by my entire family. When I walked across that stage to receive my certificate, I looked out at the audience and saw hundreds of proud parents. None of them were mine. That day, something shifted inside me. I realized that if I wanted to achieve anything in life, I would have to do it on my own. By the time I was 14, I started working. I babysat for neighbors, worked at a local coffee shop on weekends, and saved every dollar I earned. While Derek got a brand new car for his 16th birthday, I bought myself a used laptop with money I had saved for 2 years. That laptop became my escape. I wrote stories late into the night, dreaming of a future where my words would matter to someone. When it came time to apply for college, I did everything myself. I researched universities, wrote my application essays, and applied for every scholarship I could find. I never told my parents. Part of me was afraid they would not care. Another part of me wanted to prove that I could do it without them. The day I got my acceptance letter to Northwestern with a partial scholarship, I cried alone in my room. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time I felt like maybe I was worth something after all. I dreamed of becoming a journalist. I wanted to tell stories that mattered, to give voice to people who had been overlooked, just like I had been overlooked my whole life. But I never shared this dream with my family. I knew what they would say. "Writing is not a real job. You need to be practical. Why cannot you be more like Derek?" So I kept my dreams locked away in my heart and worked 3 part-time jobs throughout college to pay for what my scholarship did not cover. My parents said they did not have money to help me with tuition, even though I noticed they had enough to buy Derek a new truck when his old one broke down. Despite everything, I never stopped loving my family. I never stopped hoping that one day they would see me, really see me. As my graduation approached, I felt a spark of hope. This was it. 4 years of hard work, late nights, and sacrifice. I was graduating summa cum laude from one of the best journalism programs in the country. I had won 2 student journalism awards. I had been accepted into a prestigious internship program at a major newspaper. Surely this would be the moment my parents would finally be proud of me. 2 months before graduation, I put together a special package to send home. I carefully wrapped a miniature graduation gown as a keepsake, included the official invitation to my ceremony, and wrote a long handwritten letter. In that letter, I poured out my heart. I told them about my 4 years of struggle and triumph. I told them about the awards I had won, the internship I had earned, the dreams I was finally about to chase. I told them that all I wanted was for them to be there, just this once, just to see me walk across that stage and know that their daughter had made it. I mailed the package and waited. Days turned into weeks. I checked my phone constantly, expecting a call, a text, anything. The silence was deafening. But I told myself not to worry. Maybe they were planning a surprise. Maybe they were saving their excitement for the big day. I held on to that hope like a lifeline. The morning of my graduation, I woke up at 5 a.m. Sleep had been impossible. My stomach was filled with butterflies, a mixture of excitement and nerves. I put on the white dress I had bought with my own money, the one I had been saving for 3 months to afford. I did my own makeup, carefully applying mascara and a soft pink lipstick. I looked at myself in the mirror and took a deep breath. "Today is your day," I whispered to my reflection. "You did it." I checked my phone. No messages from my parents. No missed calls. Just a sweet text from my roommate Megan, who had left earlier to meet her family at the ceremony. I told myself they were probably on their way. Maybe they wanted to surprise me in person. Northwestern's graduation ceremony was held in a massive outdoor venue. Over 2,000 students sat in rows arranged alphabetically by last name. The June sun was warm on my face as I took my seat, my cap and gown making me feel official and proud. I looked up at the crowded bleachers searching for my family. I saw Megan, his parents, first. Her mother was holding a huge bouquet of flowers, her father had a camera with a long lens, and her grandmother was dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. They had made a giant sign that read, "We love you, Megan," with glitter and streamers. I kept scanning the crowd. Thousands of faces, none of them familiar. Maybe they are sitting in the back, I thought. Maybe they are running late. The ceremony began. Speeches were made about new beginnings and bright futures. I barely heard any of it. My eyes kept drifting to the audience, searching, hoping, praying. When they finally called my name, I stood up on shaky legs. I walked across the stage, accepted my diploma from the university president, and shook his hand. I smiled for the official photograph. In that moment, I should have felt on top of the world. Instead, I felt hollow. After the ceremony ended, I pushed through the crowd of celebrating families. Everywhere I looked, graduates were being embraced by their loved ones. Fathers were crying. Mothers were taking endless photos. Grandparents were beaming with pride. I walked alone, still searching. I checked every section of the bleachers. I walked to the parking lot looking for my father's silver sedan. I circled back to the main entrance, hoping maybe they were lost and waiting for me there. Nothing. Finally, with trembling hands, I pulled out my phone and called my mother. It rang once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. She answered on the 5th ring. The first thing I heard was noise, lots of it, laughter music, and underneath it all, the unmistakable sound of ocean waves. Evelyn. "My mother is..." Voice sounded distracted, almost annoyed. "Why are you calling?" "I am busy." I gripped my phone tighter. "Mom, today is my graduation. Where are you and Dad?" There was a pause. A long, terrible pause. Oh, that. My mother is. Voice was casual, dismissive. Your father and I are on a cruise with Derek. He just got promoted at work, so we are celebrating. You did not tell us about your graduation, so I forgot. You can handle it on your own, right? You always do. My heart stopped. The world around me seemed to blur. I did tell you, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I sent you an invitation 2 months ago. I sent a whole package. Well, I do not remember getting anything. Another pause, then I heard Derek's voice in the background calling for her. Look, I have to go. Derek needs me. Congratulations or whatever. The line went dead. I stood there in the middle of the celebration, surrounded by joy that was not mine. I did not cry. I was beyond tears. I felt like I was watching my own life from outside my body, like I was a ghost at my own graduation. Megan found me a few minutes later. She ran up with a huge smile that faded the moment she saw my face. Evelyn, where is your family? I forced a smile. They got stuck in traffic, could not make it. Megan's parents invited me to join them for dinner. I declined, saying I was tired and wanted to rest. The truth was, I could not stand to watch another happy family when mine had abandoned me. I walked back to my dorm room alone. That night I sat in my empty dorm room in complete darkness. Megan was out celebrating with her family. The building was quiet. Everyone was somewhere being loved. I opened Facebook on my phone, scrolling mindlessly. And then I saw it. My mother had posted a new photo album. The cover image showed her, my father and Derek, standing on the deck of a cruise ship, the sunset painting the sky behind them in shades of orange and gold. They were all smiling, looking happier than I had ever seen them. The caption read, "So proud of my son." New promotion calls for a celebration, 237 likes, 42 comments, all of them praising Derek, congratulating him, telling my parents what a wonderful job they had done, raising such a successful young man. I scrolled through the comments, each one feeling like a knife in my chest. My aunt had written, "Derek has always been the pride of the family. Not a single person mentioned me. Not a single person asked about my graduation. Not a single person even seemed to know that I existed." I closed Facebook and opened my phone's photo gallery. I had a folder labeled Family filled with pictures I had saved over the years. I started scrolling through them, really looking for the first time. Derek's 5th birthday party. A huge celebration with a bounce house, a clown, and 30 kids from his class. My 5th birthday. A quiet dinner at home. My mother had forgotten to order the cake. Derek's Little League championship. The whole family drove 4 hours to watch him play. My statewide spelling bee. I took the bus alone. Derek's high school graduation. My parents threw a party that lasted until midnight. My high school graduation. My mother showed up 30 minutes late and spent most of the ceremony texting. The pattern was so clear now. How had I missed it for so long? 3 days later, I decided to try one more time. I called my father. He answered on the second ring. I could hear the sound of golf clubs clinking in the background. "Evelyn, what is going on?" "I am playing golf with Derek." Of course he was. "Dad, I graduated from college. Summa cum laude." "Did you know that I heard him sigh the same sigh he used when I was being difficult?" "Yes, your mother mentioned it. Congratulations. But you know Derek just got promoted. That is a really big deal." Something inside me snapped. And me graduating at the top of my class is not a big deal. Another sigh. "Evelyn, you are always so sensitive. Do not compare yourself to your brother. It is not a competition." I hung up without saying goodbye. That night I sat down at my laptop and typed out a message in our family group chat. My fingers shook as I wrote, but my resolve was steel. I have waited 25 years to be seen by this family. 25 years of being overlooked, forgotten, and dismissed. I sent you an invitation to my graduation 2 months ago. I poured my heart into a letter telling you everything I have accomplished, and you chose to go on a cruise with Derek instead. I am done waiting. Do not bother showing up to anything in my future. I will take care of myself like I always have. I hit send, then turned off my phone. For a moment I felt like I could not breathe. And then slowly, a strange sense of peace washed over me. It was the peace of finally letting go. Over the next 2 weeks, I threw myself into building a new life. I had been offered a position as a reporter at a newspaper in Minneapolis. It was not a big paper, but it was a start. A chance to chase my dreams on my own terms. I packed up my tiny dorm room, said goodbye to Megan, and drove 8 hours to my new city. I found a small apartment on the 3rd floor of an old brick building. It was not much, just a studio with a kitchenette and a view of a parking lot. But it was mine. I did not answer any calls from my family. My mother tried twice, leaving voicemails that ranged from annoyed to guilt-tripping. Derek texted once asking what my problem was. I ignored them all. For the first time in my life, I was free. It was a Saturday evening, exactly 2 weeks after I had sent that message. I was sitting at my small desk working on a story about a local community garden when I heard a knock at my door. I was not expecting anyone. In fact, nobody except Megan and my new editor even knew my address. I opened the door and felt my breath catch in my throat. My father stood in the hallway. He looked older than I remembered, more tired. His shoulders sagged and there were dark circles under his eyes. In his hands he held a box. A familiar box. The same box I had mailed home 2 months ago. Evelyn. His voice cracked on my name. We need to talk. I stepped aside and let him in. My apartment suddenly felt very small with both of us in it. He sat down on my second-hand couch, the box resting on his knees. I remained standing, arms crossed. I found this in the garage, he said quietly. Your mother. She put it there and never told me. I only found it yesterday when I was looking for my golf clubs. So she did get it, I said. My voice was flat. She got my invitation, my letter, everything. And she still chose to go on that cruise. My father looked down at the box, unable to meet my eyes. Why did you not tell us? He whispered. Why did you not say something? Something hot flared in my chest. I walked over to where he sat and pointed at the box. Open it, I said. Read the letter. Out loud. His hands trembled as he lifted the lid. Inside, everything was just as I had packed it. The miniature graduation gown, the official invitation, and the letter, 7 pages of my handwritten words, slightly crumpled now. My father unfolded the letter and began to read. Dear Mom and Dad. He started, his voice shaking. I am writing this letter because I do not know how to say these things out loud. For 4 years I have worked harder than I ever thought possible. I have held 3 jobs at the same time just to pay my tuition because you said you could not help me, even though I saw you buy Derek a new truck that same month. He paused, swallowing hard. I watched his face as the words sank in. He continued reading. I have stayed up until 4 in the morning studying for exams, then gone straight to my shift at the campus coffee shop. I have skipped meals because I could not afford both food and textbooks. I have cried alone in my dorm room more times than I can count, wishing someone in my family would just ask how I was doing. Tears were streaming down his face now, but he kept reading. But I also want you to know about the good things. I won 2 student journalism awards. I was accepted into the most competitive internship program in my field. I am graduating summa cum laude, which means I am at the very top of my class. I did all of this on my own. His voice broke completely on the next part. All I have ever wanted is for you to see me. Not as the shadow of Derek, not as the other child, but as Evelyn. Your daughter. Someone worth being proud of. I am inviting you to my graduation because I want you there. Just this once, just to see me walk across that stage and know that I made it. He could not continue. He sat there sobbing, the letter falling from his hands. I stood over him, and for the first time in my life, I felt no urge to comfort him. I sent that 2 months before graduation, I said. If Mom had opened it, she would have known exactly when and where to be, but she did not care enough to open it. Or maybe she did open it and still decided Derek's promotion was more important. Evelyn, I am so sorry. My father looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. I did not know. I swear I did not know. You did not know because you did not want to know, I replied. I spent 25 years trying to be seen by this family. I am tired of trying. He stood up and reached for me, but I stepped back. Please come home, he begged. We will throw you a graduation party. We will make it up to you. I shook my head slowly. I do not need a party, Dad. I needed you there on the day that mattered. I needed you to show up without being asked, without being reminded, without me having to beg. That is what Derek gets. That is what I have never gotten. What do you want me to do? I looked at him for a long moment. This man who had taught Derek to throw a baseball but had never asked to read a single thing I wrote. This man who had driven hours to watch Derek play sports, but had never even known about my writing awards. Go home, I said finally. And when you and Mom are ready to have a real relationship with me, not out of guilt, but because you actually want me in your lives, then you can come back. I will be here. I am not going anywhere. But I am done chasing people who have never chased me. My father nodded slowly, defeated. He set the box down on my couch and walked to the door. Before he left, he turned back one more time. I love you, Evelyn. I know, Dad. But love is not just words. It is showing up. He left. I closed the door behind him and leaned against it, finally allowing myself to cry. The months that followed were the hardest of my life. There were nights when I woke up at 3 a.m, reaching for my phone to call my mother before remembering that I could not. There were moments when something good happened at work, and my first instinct was to share it with family who had never celebrated me. But slowly, day by day, I began to heal. I started seeing a therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Simmons, who helped me understand that setting boundaries was not selfish. It was necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup, she told me during one of our sessions. You have spent your whole life giving to people who never gave back. It is time to fill your own cup. I took her advice to heart. I poured my energy into my work, writing stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. My editor noticed my dedication and started giving me bigger assignments. Within a year, I was promoted to lead reporter. I also built a new family, not by blood, but by choice. Megan visited me in Minneapolis and became my closest friend despite the distance. My colleague James became like a brother, always ready with terrible jokes to make me laugh on hard days. My neighbor Mrs. Patterson, an 82-year-old widow, invited me for dinner every Sunday and told me stories about her life that made me feel less alone. 6 months after my father's visit, my mother called me. For the first time ever, she did not start the conversation by talking about Derek. Evelyn, she said, her voice smaller than I had ever heard it. I read your letter. All of it. I do not know how to apologize for 25 years of failing you. But I want to try. If you will let me. I did not respond right away. I let the silence stretch between us, giving myself time to feel everything that rose up in my chest. The anger, the hurt, the tiny stubborn seed of hope that had somehow survived everything. I accept your apology, I said finally. But that does not mean things go back to the way they were. If you want to be part of my life, we start fresh. No more comparisons to Derek. No more forgetting about me. I am your daughter too. She agreed, crying through her promises. I did not fully believe her, not yet. Trust would take time. But I was willing to give her the chance to earn it. Derek reached out a few weeks later. He said he had no idea our mother had hidden my package, that he would have told our parents to skip the cruise if he had known about my graduation. I wanted to believe him. Maybe I did a little. Our relationship was different now. Not the close sibling bond I had always wished for, but something more honest. We talked occasionally. He asked about my work. I asked about his. We were finding our way towards something that felt for the first time like equals. But the most important relationship I rebuilt was the one with myself. For so long I had measured my worth by whether my family saw me. Now I understood that their blindness was never about my value. It was about their own limitations. I started a journal again like I had when I was a girl, but instead of writing about escaping my life, I wrote about embracing it. I wrote about the small victories. The first byline with my name in big letters. The first time my editor said he was proud of me. The first Sunday dinner at Mrs. Patterson, his house where she told me I was like the granddaughter she never had. I wrote about learning to be proud of myself even when no one else was watching. A year after my graduation, I went back to that photo of me in my cap and gown, the one taken by a stranger I had asked for help. I looked at my own smile, the one that hid so much pain behind it. But now, when I looked at that photo, I did not feel sad anymore. I saw a woman who had been knocked down but refused to stay down. A woman who had walked across that stage alone and still held her head high. A woman who had finally learned that her worth was not determined by the people who failed to see it. That day, I thought I was the loneliest person in the world. But I was wrong. I was not alone. I was just learning how to stand on my own 2 feet. And you know what? Those feet are pretty strong. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had to learn to love yourself when the people closest to you did not? Have you ever had to walk away from people you loved in order to find your own peace? I would love to hear your story in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories like this one. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening. And remember, no matter who has overlooked you, no matter who has forgotten you, you are worth being seen. You always have been. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it.